Hello everyone, and thank you for coming along today and joining me for my presentation. My name is Kristen Mackenzie, and today I'm going to talk to you about constructivist learning theory. In this presentation, I'm going to outline the theory of constructivism. I will talk about the key features and components, the strengths as well as the limitations of this learning theory, and applications of this theory in classroom practices. Utilizing this understanding and knowledge of constructivism, I will then reflect upon my own experiences as both a student in the classroom setting and also relate to my own personal values and beliefs as I approach my role as a future educator. So what is constructivism? The theory of constructivism is based on the idea that knowledge is developed or understood by the learner based on their own personal experiences and prior knowledge and ideas of the world around them. As Duquesne and McMaw, 2016, put it, constructivism is fundamentally underpinned by the idea that meaning is constructed by the learner. Learning, therefore, is simply the process of adjusting our mental models to accommodate new experiences. The theory of constructivism believes that the teacher should assist the student in their learning by getting them involved and engaged, and this is where the true learning process occurs. Duquesne and McMaw, 2016, explain that there are different forms of constructivism, and these forms were originally founded by key theorists Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky. Piaget emphasized on the psychological constructivism and focused on how the individual learners constructed their own knowledge and built upon knowledge of the world around them. So essentially, fitting in new information with existing information and knowledge we already have to build upon our understanding. Then there was Vygotsky, who emphasized that social processes are fundamental to learning. According to Lynch, 2016, social worlds develop out of individuals' interactions with their culture and society, and this highlights that social and cultural elements can heavily influence on an individual's learning. So as a whole, there are several guiding principles of constructivism, and according to Schult, 1996, these features include that knowledge exists within the student, learning is student-centered, students are active learners, the use of interactive activities, students construct meanings, and alternative forms of assessment. When I was in school, the majority of my experiences were underpinned by constructivism. I can clearly remember doing a lot of group work, working in pairs, role-playing in fellow classroom, and whole classroom collaborative discussions with fellow peers and the teacher. When I look back to my time in school, I can honestly say that I retained so much more information on a topic in class, which was completed through group activities, rather than just completing an individual reflection or task on a particular topic, which is more the traditional model of learning. To put a little bit of perspective on this, for example, in an English lesson, some teachers would use the traditional approach in that we were just told to simply read the prescribed text individually and come up with key techniques and language features within that text on our own. I remember I would always become disengaged and zone out. On the other hand, however, a teacher approaching the same English lesson using constructivism would have put us in small groups to read the text together and then discussed the language features and techniques as a class, take notes, and then share with the rest of the class. This would not only keep me engaged with the subject, but it actually enabled me to enjoy the subject as you're actively involved in the learning process through observation and seeking out information with interaction with others. According to Swinburne Online 2016, the role of the teacher in a constructivist classroom is to assist students in actively working on how to construct knowledge. For example, relating back to my English lesson, the teacher would assist us in the group collaboration when we needed it. However, it was still ultimately up to us to work out and make sense of the prescribed text and its key language features and conventions. I can confidently say that my values lie within learning by doing and actively involving students in the learning process. So what does a constructivist approach look like when it comes to teaching in the classroom? Students primarily work collaboratively in groups or pairs, which is not only an excellent way for students to develop their social interactions, but they can also bring their own knowledge and understanding of the topic to the group and also learn about other students' ideas and understandings of the same topic. Students are seen as empowered learners and are encouraged to always ask questions, and an effective teacher would emphasize that there are no such thing as silly or wrong questions. The students are perceived as the center of the learning and teachers as the facilitators in that they guide the students to learn. Students construct knowledge through critical thinking and hands-on activities. Teachers will assess a student's progress through observation, interactive discussions, and reflections, as opposed to just giving the students a test at the end of the week to see if they actually learned anything. So what are the strengths of constructivism? Constructivism encourages a higher level of thinking, as it actively engages learners, as well as encouraging students to participate in their learning. Constructivism promotes higher recollection of learned material, as students are actively involved in the learning process. It also encourages teamwork, self-management, and multiplicity of thought, as well as dialogue between teachers and their students, as well as students with their fellow peers. As Duquesne and McMorr 2016 state, constructivism attaches importance to students' prior learning and the background knowledge they bring to the learning environment, and so effective teachers will work with the students' knowledge to make the links between what they already know and then what they also need to learn. Like any theory, constructivism does have its limitations. The biggest disadvantage is its lack of structure. This lack of structure may not work for all students, as some students require a highly structured environment in order to learn well. Another limiting factor, according to Duquesne and McMorr 2016, is that allowing students to construct their own learning takes a lot of time to set up, and this can place pressure on teachers as they need to ensure that they have set up the appropriate scaffolding to facilitate a constructivist learning environment. There are also disadvantages to group work, and some group activities may not be successful if not all students are actively engaged in the process. Some students, particularly those with behavioural or learning disabilities, may prefer to work one-on-one with the teacher rather than in a group setting, and this may lead to some students falling behind. For me personally, reflecting on my own beliefs and values, constructivism is a highly effective and beneficial method of teaching for students, as it encourages students to actively participate in their learning development. I believe that for valuable learning to occur, the students must be engaged and motivated and have their interests captured, and these are all key features that constructivism promotes. I believe that students need to be curious and want to learn, and I highly value that constructivism allows for existing knowledge to be brought to the classroom and transfer new knowledge to the real world. I definitely feel that if all my schooling had been a constructivist approach, I would be better equipped with knowledge on certain subjects that I normally avoid now, as well as crucial social interaction skills and decision making. In conclusion, constructivism is about learning by doing and active listening, as well as effective guidance by teachers to promote students' inquiry and collaborative discussion in the classroom. Constructivism encourages a positive learning environment where students are empowered and are the centre of the learning. I know a constructivist approach is definitely a method of teaching I will implement in my future classroom, and perhaps you might now consider it also. I hope I have provided you with a good analysis of constructivism and its usage in the classroom setting. Thank you very much for listening.